What's up guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. It is round 3 of the November Internationals and we have truly been treated to some exciting rugby. All teams have given it their all, but some teams have been weaker than we've expected, and hopefully we can see an improvement from the teams we support if we are not happy, like a South African like me. Before we get to predictions, make sure, I want to ask you guys, if you've subscribed, please subscribe, especially if you haven't, so you're up to date with all future sporting or motivational uploads. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for that. So now, let's get to predictions. We have Georgia versus USA up first. Don't know much about these two teams, but the things about the underdog teams, they give it their all. They fight to the best. I see potential for America in maybe 5 to 10 years as they have the money. I think they see rugby as a potentially growing sport, and I'm sure they're going to want to get involved because they like to be top of the world, but they've got a long way to go if they want to be there. But Georgia, USA, I'm going to go USA for a little joke there. I know Georgia played last weekend, so they're probably going in there the better team and probably will win. But let's go USA for this one. Namibia versus Uruguay. Another underdog teams that I'm not quite familiar with. If I have to pick a team, I'm going to go Namibia just because Southern Hemisphere and they're just next door to, or just above South Africa, so I'm going Namibia. Uruguay I know of. I know South Africa smashed them a few times, but who knows? It could be a good game. Uruguay could win, but let's go Namibia on this one. Italy, South Africa. Man, this is a game we are all looking forward to, curious about. I'm sure every critic is looking at this game. I'm sure every South African fan is worried and looking at this game, and I'm sure all the supporters around the world are looking at this game just as much as well. South Africa lost to Italy in Italy last year. This year we're not in a great place of form. We've had maybe 1 or 2 great games this year, or 3, but nothing convincing, nothing that is making us go, wow, the Springboks are there. And we're going to need to see that against Italy. Italy is a team that we never were worried about losing to. We always were confident we would win, and win convincingly. But since last year, we've been worried. Hopefully the boys go there with the determination, the strength, the mentality that we all know the Springboks to have. I want to see a dominant Springbok performance. I don't want to see a win by 5 points. If we don't win by more than 10, I'm not going to be happy. I want to see a strong performance from the Springboks. We have the team. We have the players. We just need to get our backsides in order and our heads in the right frame so we can actually beat the Italians. I want this to be more than 15 points. Then I will be actually quite happy because then I can at least see improvement. Yes, we beat France last weekend, but we didn't convincingly beat them. There were still problems. Pollard, I think, is going to have a way better game if selected. I see him giving it a good go with his boot. I see a better kicking performance. Again, as a player, he didn't play badly, but his kicking was weak, and he needs to be on top form with his kicking. All the Italians are going to sneak away with another win. So my predictions for Italy versus South Africa, I'm going South Africa by 15 or more. Don't laugh at me. Let's see what happens. Scotland versus Australia. This is a game I'm really excited about. Both teams came off a loss. Australia are going to be wanting to prove a point that they are a dominant force, that they are contenders to be in the top 4 of World Rugby rankings. Scotland are going to want to keep the momentum that they had with New Zealand and maybe try and beat Australia again. Will it happen? Who knows? That's the thing about rugby, especially with these two teams. One team could be good, one team can be bad. We just never know. Good old Muddyfield. Scotland are strong. The crowd is strong. So Australia could have a tough time. But personally, I think Australia are going to bring all that anger that Michael Cheika had last weekend into this game. Hopefully he will be a bit more respectable. But we'll have to wait and see. But I see Australia piping this one by 7 points. It's going to be tough. Tough game, but I see tries at the end coming in. I see Scotland maybe tiring. If I'm wrong, I'm actually won't be surprised, because Scotland for me have the potential to win, but we'll have to see what happens. So I'm going Australia by 7 points. England, Samoa, again, this is another probably a walk in the park. England, great team, great coaching system, developing, growing as we speak, wanting to win profusely so they can get a chance of being number one. But I just see them dominating Samoa. Samoa, I love the Pacific Island teams. Such heart, such soul, play with so much determination, but I just don't see them winning this one. I see England winning by more than 15 points, if not more than 20. I see just a dominant performance. Probably going to pull a second string team, but again, Eddie Jones loves to win. We saw it 2 weeks ago when he was upset, so I think we're gonna see quite a dominant performance from the English. Romania, Tonga, again, not too familiar. I got my prediction wrong with Tonga last weekend. I said they're gonna beat Japan, which they clearly didn't do. Romania, not familiar with their rugby, but I'm gonna still go back Tonga on this one. Again, Pacific Island team. They knew they got pumped by Japan last weekend, so I see Tonga pulling this one and beating them. Fiji, Canada, got a lot of respect for the Canadian rugby, but Fiji are just a more dominant team. They gave the Irish a little run for their money, guys. They really did. Yes, I know, second string Irish team, but still Fiji gave them a run for their money. So I'm definitely going Fiji to beat Canada, probably by more than 12 points. Wales, New Zealand. This could be an interesting game, chaps. I think we could see a really good matchup. Millennium Stadium. I know it's got a new name. Sorry, I forgot what it's called. But it's still known as the history name, and I'm going to call it that because that is what it rightfully is. This is going to be a game. Wales, I think, are going to have their tails up. Reason why I say that, I know they lost to Australia, but they're going to be wanting to prove a point and showing that they deserve to be in the top contendership to beat the big teams. New Zealand have had their ups and downs, you know. Yes, they've got a lot of injuries. I do understand that, but they're still the dominant New Zealand team that we all know. They've got the proper players. They've got great players in their team who are world champion worthy. So for me, no excuses in this one. I see this being a tough game. I see Wales giving them a go in the first half, but again, I don't see New Zealand losing. I know a lot of people are talking about New Zealand maybe losing this weekend. I saw an article, New Zealand need to lose. I think it's a bit of hogwash. I think New Zealand are still right up there. They're just going through a tough time at the moment. And rightly so. It's a long season, guys. Very long year for these guys. So my prediction, I'm going New Zealand by 8 points. 8 points or more. I just think, as I've always said, they play an 80-minute game, if not more, and I see them just walking through at the end and just pumping in some tries. But it will be a great game. Ireland versus Argentina. This is going to be a nice little game. I'm hoping both teams give it their all and field their top teams. Ireland have had a goodish year, giving South Africa a good thumping, but then Fiji coming up close. Yes, I know, second string team, but still good performance. But I love the Irish rugby. I think they're just a passionate bunch of rugby players, and I just see them dominating Argentina. I hope Argentina, for the Southern Hemisphere's sake, gives Ireland a good run for their money, but again, I think Argentina will tire at the end, and Ireland's just going to shoot forward. They've got a phenomenal coach and phenomenal players, and I just see them dominating. And I'm going to go Ireland by 10 points or more on that one. Sorry, Argentina fans. La France versus Japan. I definitely see this being also another. Actually, you know, I was going to say it's going to be a walkover, but I'm not too sure about that one because Japan had a good weekend last weekend, and they have the World Cup coming up. They're going to be wanting to give these big teams a fright, like they gave South Africa in the previous World Cup. France aren't in a good place at the moment, also having a very mediocre season. But at the end of the day, who knows what could win. I'm going France by more than 10 points. I think, again, these teams, if they can play 80 minutes, different story. But I think Japan might tie and France will just scrape it. They have the potential. They should win technically on paper, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm going France to win against Japan. It's going to be a cracking weekend of rugby, guys. All teams looking good. We've got some exciting rugby. Just with the recap, I will try and recap the big games. It's just with there's one game on and then you miss the other and the highlights are gone. I will try and get a recap for all the big games, because I got moaned at for not reporting on Ireland. Sorry, Irish fans. I will try and do a recap with them as well, including all the other big teams. Guys, as usual, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. Who you think's gonna win? Do you disagree or agree with me? And what are your what's the highlight match for you this weekend? For me, I'm gonna say obviously it's going to be South Africa, but definitely Wales, New Zealand, and then Australia, Scotland. I think that's going to be a game we're going to talk about. Won't be surprised if there's an upset in one of those games. But until then, enjoy the rugby, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on future uploads. We are growing as a rugby family, sporting family, motivational family, and I couldn't be prouder and happier to be a part of this, to create content for you guys, and I can only hope it continues to grow. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, enjoy the rugby, support your teams, and go mad this weekend. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.